Thank you. It's my great pleasure on behalf of the Internet Society to present the 2018 Jonathan B. Postel Award. John Postel, the first editor of the RFC series, the first director of IANA, and the first member of the Internet Society, 1992. The Jonathan B. Postel Award was established by the Internet Society to honor individuals or organizations that, like John Postel, have made outstanding contributions in service to the data communications community. Since his death and the award of the first award in 1999, 17 times this award has been given to esteemed members of this community. What is very special about this award, it is a peer award. So the prior winners of the award are picking the next person, who is Stephen G. Hooter. For his leadership and personal contributions at the Network Startup Resources Center that enabled countless others to develop the internet in more than 120 countries. This year, you are the winner of this very special award. Let me just shake your hand. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you very much. So when I first got your message a couple months ago, Kathy, I was scrolling through morning email and I read it, and then I decided to have a few more sips of coffee and read it again to make sure it wasn't spam. And then I, kind of flashed back and I thought, 1996, Montreal. And the last time I was here was the joint INET IETF meeting that was here in Montreal. And I was one of the volunteer ISOC folks helping out with the INET workshops. And there I made friends with a guy named Adiel Akplogan. Many of you know him. He came from Lomé, Togo for the workshop. And, when it was over, we went to the IETF meeting to go, check that out. And we were riding on an escalator and he said, "Hey man, how do I get this .tg? My country code, top level domain isn't delegated yet." And in a great moment of serendipity, John was coming up the escalator as we were going down. And I just said, "See that guy with the long gray beard? We need to talk to him." And, I said, "John, could you wait for us at the top?" And he said, "Sure." And so we rode up and, Adiel introduced himself, posed his question, and John chatted with him for a few minutes and said, you know the drill, get the name servers up and fill out the template and send it in. And Adiel worked with actually a guy from Quebec, here from Montreal, François Normand, who assisted him with getting all that going. And a few days later, .tg was on the net. And so I kind of thought back to how in a way, nice and simple, things were back then, and it gave me a nice time to reflect about that experience with John. I'm happy to receive this award, on behalf of the Network Startup Resource Center, and I feel strongly that it really should be a group award because there are a lot of people that contribute to this, from folks at the University of Oregon to international contractors and dozens of volunteers, some of whom are in this room. But when I first started working with it in 1993, quite some time ago, it already had roots well before that, and the original vision and inspiration and frankly sweat was all Randy Bush. Randy had started in the late 80s assisting folks in South Africa with establishing some of their first connections to research institutions, universities, and that led over to the neighbors wanting to use CP email feed in Namibia and Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, et cetera. And it led to this amazing set of stepping stones that really helped several dozen countries with some of their first TCP/IP connections. And so in 1992, Randy teamed up with John Clenson, who was at MIT at the time, and he was working with a United Nations University project under the International Nutrition Foundation. And they were trying to get email connections in a bunch of countries so folks could basically do nutrition education with people in their countries about this. So they wrote a grant to the National Science Foundation to formalize what they were doing, and that's really the roots of it. And in another great moment of serendipity, there was a guy named Steve Goldstein, some of you may know him, and he happened to be appointed as the International Interagency Networking Coordinator about this time, and really needed to start internationalizing the NSF net and getting connections into countries where US scientists were being funded to do, paleontological research in Mongolia and geophysics research in the Rift Valley and all sorts of things like that. So several other people got involved, and Randy was awesome at, recruiting people for the INET training workshops and then starting to cultivate network operator groups and always infusing a spirit of cultivating network operators helping each other. And that's really the essence of how the NSRC still operates today. And we've evolved the model and techniques to today's internet to do the training, and things are virtualized and all sorts of other advancements. But the heart and spirit still really go back to the roots that I learned and we all learned from Randy and John. And John Postel was a close peer of theirs. I was fortunate to meet him by association with Randy and John, and I'm really grateful to receive this today. So thank you, ISOC, thank you, IETF, thank you, University of Oregon, and various other few dozen sponsors, particularly NSF and Google, that have been steadfast over the years. And thanks to all of you that contribute to the work of the NSRC and helping advance the net in new places. Thank you.